one of the worst states in America when it comes to voter suppression and gerrymandering is North Carolina. Now, folks have been fighting that state. Republicans have been doing some of the most evil things. A federal court once ruled that there was laser-like precision of Republicans targeting black voters, where they struck down the racial gerrymandering. Well, now you have a new group of districts that have been approved, and North Carolina Republicans have truly lost their minds. We're talking about a state that's pretty much 50-50 Democrat and Republican, okay? Well, they have passed new congressional maps that would give Republicans for the next decade an almost 78% advantage in terms of they will control 78% of the congressional seats in the state. 10 of the 14 states will lean Republican, according to the non-partisan Princeton Gerrymandering Project. Republicans currently have 8 of 13 seats. Now, the legislature, of course, is responsible for redistricting, and they don't need approval from the governor for the maps to become law. Now, that means that Democratic Governor Roy Cooper cannot veto the bills as well. Joining us right now is the co-executive director of the Southern Coalition for Social Justice, Allison Riggs. She joins us for Durham, North Carolina. Allison, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You laid out yesterday in this Twitter thread really how devastating it is in North Carolina. It caught my attention, and I said, well, hey, let's get her on the show. So walk people through this because, again, so much attention has been focused on Georgia and Texas and Arizona. But I dare say the most evil acts are taking place by Republicans in your state of North Carolina.
It's a constant onslaught, and it has been since the Shelby County decision in 2013. This is the first redistricting cycle we've engaged in, though, in decades without the protections of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. And I felt like folks didn't understand how coordinated and aggressive the attacks were on Black representation. It's obvious at the congressional level. That map you just showed is one in which a long-standing African-American Opportunity District in northeastern North Carolina is critically undermined. It's essentially a toss-up district now. On the day the map passed, the National Redistricting Congressional Committee targeted the Black incumbent, G.K. Butterfield, and deemed it a flippable district. So the risk of losing Black representation at the congressional level is very real. And if that district does flip, we're not talking about a 10-4 map. We're talking about an 11-3 map, 11 Republicans, 3 Democrats. But it's not just happening at the state level. And with the vote on the John Lewis Act yesterday, I felt it was so important to lift up some of the local cases that we're seeing in counties formerly covered by Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. These are small counties, less economically advantaged counties. They're being threatened for doing anything that considers race, striving for anything that approaches race equity. They're being threatened by prominent attorneys with suit. And this all would have been prevented if Congress had acted to restore the Voting Rights Act. And North Carolina continues to be the epicenter of redistricting litigation and attacks on Black representation. It's been that way since the 1980s.
And this is why we are putting so much pressure on Democrats in the Senate to move, because if they pass the For the People Act and the John Lewis Act, it would prevent these states from doing that. And that's why Republicans don't want to support the bill. And that's why, for the life of me, I'm sitting here looking at Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin going, what in the world are the two of you doing? Do you not see what they're doing? And here's the crazy thing. There have been exceptions made in the past for the filibuster. There have been exceptions. So to act as if you cannot make an exception for voting rights is a lie.
That's right. Politicizing the Voting Rights Act, particularly the John Lewis Act, is heinous. It's one thing, obviously, for Senator Manchin and for Senator Murkowski to support this bill, but supporting it when it won't go anywhere leaves millions of voters of color without protection. Congress did the right thing. They proposed a new Voting Rights Act that addressed the concerns of the U.S. Supreme Court. It's Congress's job to push through this law that is absolutely necessary to effectuate the promises of the 14th and 15th Amendment.
In fact, Democrats actually put this video out. Folks, let me know if y'all had that video queued up in the control room. Because when you talked about Congressman John Lewis, guys, do we have it? All right, when you talked about Congressman John Lewis, to me, there's nothing more offensive, even when he was alive, to watch these Republicans laud him and praise him and travel down to Selma with him and then come right back to the nation's capital and vote against these bills. How embarrassing to have a black United States Senator who's a Republican and Tim Scott vote against ending the filibuster when it comes to the voting rights. And so this is what the Democrats put together, this particular video here, that shows you what Republicans say and then what they do when it comes to the late Congressman John Lewis and voting rights.
Our society has only marched toward justice because great figures like Congressman John Lewis took it upon themselves to lead the way.
That's my point, Allison. They love praising Congressman John Lewis. No, they love pimping Congressman John Lewis, putting out quotes, things like that. But again, you're voting against the bill the man wrote.
This is not dying. That's right. This is not ancient history that we're fighting for. The right of the franchise, access to the franchise for black and brown voters. This is in our lifetime, in so many of my clients' lifetimes. They experienced what Representative Lewis did. Were beaten and bloodied, fighting for the right to cast a ballot, the right to have a vote counted equally, without regard to race. And it is enormously disrespectful and painful to see Representative Lewis's legacy being undermined by the failure to move these bills.
Yeah, it's been shameful, and so we just want people to understand why we are going to continue to press this issue, Allison. We appreciate an organization like yours out there on the forefront because it is very difficult when you have these Republicans who are funded by billionaires. When you take the Koch network, when you take what's going on here, they know exactly what they're doing, and so it's even more shameful when you have Democrats who are unwilling to stand up and lead.
Yeah, there's still time to fix this. There's still time to pass the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Act. There is time to provide relief during this redistricting cycle, but the time to act is now.
Yep, absolutely agree. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess with really long hair who was waiting for a prince to come save her. But really, who has time for that?
Let's go. Feeling myself. I'm feeling
She ordered herself a ladder with Prime one-day delivery, and she was out of there.
I want some hood girls looking back at it and a good girl in my tax bracket.
Now, her hairdressing empire is killing it. And the prince? Well, who cares? Prime changes everything.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
I love you.
commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared. You dig?